Beautiful people. Okay, I am back. Now, this time, top five in 2025 nonfiction edition. Let me tell you the books that I love that were I'm talking about memoirs, autobiographies, talking about some history that you're learning here, all the things. Let's jump into it. Welcome back, beautiful people. If you are new here, I'm Darnaya, Darice, first name, middle name. Okay, this is part two. I filmed this in the same night as the first one, the top five in 2025 fiction, my fiction read. So if you haven't watched that one, go ahead and watch that one first. Okay, however you want to do it, it don't matter. Okay, but in this one, I'm just gonna jump right into it because the last one I gave some runner-ups. So I'm not gonna give some runner-ups in this one. I'm just gonna highlight my top five in 2025 for nonfiction, and I'm first gonna highlight my number fifth favorite read in nonfiction category was none other than Matriarch by Miss Tina Knowles. Now, Miss Tina, I love Miss Tina, okay? Miss Tina has a lot of brothers and sisters. She's going to talk about how she came up with the name Beyonce and how her name, which I didn't know, her maiden last name is Beyonce, if you will. And it was very interesting because she opens the book up with her family tree, and she talks about childhood. She talks about growing up in Louisiana and how that played a role and shaped her life. She was a child, and you can see her personality even as a child because she stood on business. She stood up for herself. She was not going to take anything just laying down, turning the other cheek. No, ma'am. Okay, she was the one. She is a child she is a person who, when she was a child, you want to cultivate her curiosity. You want to. She would be someone who was probably be or have been, based on what she said, it was like, oh, she has ADHD, she can't sit still, or she's a bad child. No, honey, those children, she was intellectually curious, if you will. She was curious about the world. She was curious as to why did some Black people choose to be compliant, and while others didn't. And she was one who's like, I just don't want to take things sitting down. That's a great question for anyone to ask. You know, when you look at your family, were they compliant with things and like, oh, that's just how the world is and you have to obey? No, things don't change unless you change. You will be treated how you allow people to treat you. That's definitely what I've learned. If you allow people to step all over you, to disrespect you, they will, until you demand, no, I'm a human being, I demand respect, period. Okay, Miss Tina, I loved start to finish. Now, if you're looking for like tell all the beans and the juices and being nosy about every little thing of what's going on with Beyonce or Solange or Kelly or anything, you're not really going to get this in the book. She does highlight each one of the children, and she highlights different instances with her grandkids and things, but it's a beautiful memoir. I love how she took the time to walk you through different stages and gave you what she wanted to give you, what she has the right to. Nobody owes you anything. Always remember that, okay? She don't owe you that. But I love that she included pictures in this book. It was a good memoir. Now, if you're not one who, if you get bored easily with things and you need certain things in the book, I would say take your time with this one. Just read a chapter here, a couple chapters there, because it's not one of those where I would say like, oh, I gotta read it, hurry up and finish it all at once. But it was still a great gift that Tina gave us. All right, fourth, Three Mothers. Okay, this is how the mothers of Dr. Martin Luther King, James Baldwin, and Malcolm X shaped the world, shaped the nation. And this is by Anna Malika Tibbs, and this was a pretty good read. The thing with this one, you're gonna find some some research information that she was able to fit in this book, but you're also going to find some points where it's speculative or her kind of piecing things together, viewpoints, especially when it gets towards the end. But you get instances, you get stages of each of the mother's life, and when you I learned a little bit more about Alberta King, who was already somewhat in a certain stature, even in her time, her family, like she comes from family who was kind of would be considered middle class today. She had a pretty good education, and was the one, Martin Sr., who, remember, their name was essentially him and his father Michael at first, and the father changed their name to Martin, but he was the one who she helped get educated. He wasn't at first. She was the one where her family had the church and the pastor, and it was passed down from them. Now, her life ended tragically. What I find interesting was that the mothers, like James Baldwin, Malcolm X's mother, who is Louise Little, they lived longer than their sons. Tragically, but you see where the mother's perspective came from, and you see the strength and the goal and the activism within the mother's lives in their own right, and you see why some of their children chose the path that they chose. I like that also Louise Little, you get some misconceptions kind of highlighted in here. She was deemed to be crazy later on, and you find that was kind of like a ploy or propaganda to try to get her kids away from her. When when Black people would fight in these areas in the States and fight for their right to be free, fight for their right to be independent and self-serving and have their own institutions, govern ourselves, we would get deemed like, oh, they have issues, they're mentally unstable, anything to put a label. It's like cattle call that some people to this day still follows. Watching media, you got to watch out for it with buzzwords. Any little buzzword can turn someone against you or place harm on you, and you got to pay attention to that. So I love that Anna highlights that with the mothers. This was a great book. If you are looking to learn more about your leaders and their parents, please know their parents, especially the mothers as well, because they don't always get talked about a lot. They do get talked about. It's not hyperbole that I'm stressing here, but these are not ones who in education system that at least I went through weren't highlighted as much, but there's so much meat. Louise Little, she does highlight how she was involved with Marcus Garvey's movement, and how that she brought that to her husband at the time. And so it's some good bones in here. Third favorite, Rosa Parks autobiography. This is another one. This is called My Story. You need to read Rosa from your own words. All you hear about Rosa was sat on the bus, and you see that's the picture here. She highlights some misconceptions about that. She wasn't the first. She even highlights it was Claudette Colvin who did it before her, but she ended up becoming the face of this particular movement with the Montgomery bus boycott, because Claudette was, I believe, pregnant at the time, and it was kind of a little controversy because she was young, and it was so much. But Rosa is so much more. When I tell you her family stood on business, her family did not play. They was like, you can come over here with the nonsense if you want to. And Rosa was like, I'm gonna sit with my grandfather, my father, my great grandfather. They gonna have protect themselves, and I'm gonna be right with them, protecting the house. But you learn so much more about Rosa. You learn how she was still alive when I was a young girl, but she got talked about like she was already gone and dismissed. And she ended up in her later years still doing like talking engagements, but she said in her own words that this is all people want me to talk about, and it was no progression forward. This book also highlights how Black people, we had came together, or our people had came together in an instance like this, and they were able to build their own, come up with their own transportation in Alabama, their own transportation system, sort of like an Uber, Lyft, rideshare, but it got dismantled after the law sort of got changed, it got put on paper. Oh, now you can ride the bus without turmoil, and you can sit where you want, and we just let it go, when the goal shouldn't have been to necessarily, oh, let's just integrate with them and that's it. It should have been, let's continue our own revenue, let's continue our own systems, and learn how to, instead of begging someone else, keep what we got going, because it took some time. But Rosa talks about how they eventually got the hang of how to get everyone to and from work, and so forth and so forth. And but this is such a dynamic story. More people should read it. My second favorite nonfiction, if you been watching me since the beginning of the year, you know I talk about Relentless almost every quarter. From Good to Great to Unstoppable. This is by Tim S. Grover. This book is, if you know, I'm a former athlete. I'm competitive dance. I've done gymnastics, I've been a cheerleading coach. I've done a lot. I used to practice playing basketball, sports. I got recruited to run track. Like, I was doing everything. Okay, I was athletic, and this kind of book speaks to me. Now, this is like a in the personal development category, but whether you're talking about business, sports, whatever category, industry you're in, it doesn't matter. The way he's like a coach speaking to you. He talks about the differences between cleaners in this book, people who are cleaners and coolers, you know, people who sit on the sidelines, and people who watch others be great, and you're wondering, why is this person great? It's because they put in the work. They put in the work, plain and simple. They put in the productivity, okay? They put in the time and the stress to build the muscles that they need in order to produce when it's time to perform. This book is great. I suggest you read it, especially if you need to tap yourself on the head, like, get it together in 2026. We need to do what we got to do to continue to progress as an individual, as a family, as a parent, as a member in society. However, this is a good read. Now, my top nonfiction read, and now I'm gonna let you go. My number one is none other than Miss Maya Angelou, and this is her second autobiography, Gathered Together in My Name. I've already read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and that was years ago. But this one I just read this year. I actually have I want to read her whole autobiography. She has about 7. This woman is the one who knew herself. Okay, if you are ladies, I don't care where you're from, who you with, please read Maya. Oh my gosh, her life is interesting because she didn't stay stuck. No matter what choices, whether you agree with her choices or not, she had a child as a teenager. She didn't let that stop her. And her mother was a trip too. Her mother did not let her revel in herself. Her mother didn't bash her, if you will. Her mother kind of was her encourager in some areas. But Maya talks about, in this one, she's a little bit older now. She's like a young adult in this book. So in I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, she talks about her younger years up until the point where she basically has she's a young teenager. This one, she's moving from that young teenager to a young adult, so she's making some decisions on her own. She's moved to Cali, and she runs into some men. She starts to run her own little who house, not Run's house, but Whole House, okay? She runs a little empire, and she sits on business. She said, I gotta feed for my kids. She goes she talks about her time and getting into dancing and performance, if you will. Like, Maya, I love her, like the confidence, the willing to live life and enjoy it and be okay with the decisions, whether right or wrong, but know why you made them. And then don't let people keep you stuck. If you need that boost, because I needed it, okay? Listen, you better know your story better than anyone else, because you control your narrative. We control our narrative. I control my narrative. And this is the power that reading Maya Angelou gives you when you need it. And so, to the ladies, fellas, you know, you here, give us a cheer because you need it too. But I'm telling you, ladies, this is read her work if you haven't already. Read her work, and don't read it just to read it. Read it for insight, read it for empowerment, read it for listen, that no one can get you down, no matter what anyone knows, no matter who was with you, when, what, who, what, when, where, and why. Do you know why? Because we learn, we grow. Okay, we should. Not everybody, but we should. Okay, and we hold ourselves accountable. Okay, we become more responsible, or we should, and then we learn how to tell our story on our own, the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay, and we learn to teach our children, or we should, how to navigate life and how to pick yourself up when you feel down, how to stand up on your 2 feet when your legs get weary. Okay, I'll get to preaching, y'all. Don't mind me. But these are the 5 books, my top 5 nonfiction reads of 2025. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know which one you read. Put a purple heart in the chat. If you don't know, now you know. My favorite color is purple, so that's why you see the purple hearts. If I'm on your video, you know it's me with the purple hearts. Okay, beloved, spread love, and always remember to keep rising.
I'm telling you that there ain't no other way. Pack your bags and then you will go away.